not be president and minister for this thing.
You could have killed everybody here.
So a lot of us have watched this training video where the FCT minister, Wike, had a very serious altercation with the military officer, right? In case you've not watched the video, let's just quickly watch it together. So check it out here.
The man took the land, we will not allow because he was chief of naval and then he to carry land.
Sir, everything was acquired legally.
Will you stop
so
that?
You get
Will you stop that?
Sir, I'm an officer, I have integrity.
Shut up, your mouth, put
I will not shut up.
Will you get out?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir,
I was in school, you're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
Will
me
you keep quiet?
You can't
Get
shut
me a
me
big
up, sir.
food.
I'm not
You are a big fool.
I'm not a fool,
You think
sir.
I shoot anybody like that?
Sir, I'm not
You
a
are big
fool.
fool.
I am not a fool, sir.
As at the time I
Don't call me a
graduated,
fool.
you were in primary school.
I'm acting on order.
Take for
You
which
can't
order?
call me a fool.
I just, you will see whether you love this here.
Sir, you can't call me a fool.
Go
I'm
and develop your
an
mind,
officer.
develop
I'm not a fool, sir. I'm an officer.
Now, great. So exactly the next day, there was an interview with one of his aides, and just trying to get some more light to be shed on the matter. Now, I need to be very, very clear here that I do not have access to documents. I don't have access to facts. So I cannot validate or invalidate any of the claims that he's going to make. I'll cut out the most important parts so it's not a really lengthy video. So let's watch it together here.
That particular land was allocated to a company in 2007, Santos Estate Limited, for park and recreation. Let me say this again. Allocated in 2007 for park and recreation. The company did not do anything on the land because that place is a parkway, it's a walkway, it's a road corridor. You don't build there. Then in 2022, the company wrote to the FCTA, the minister, oh, I want approval from you to convert the purpose to commercial. Probably in anticipation of the minister's approval for conversion, the man decided to partition the land, a land allocated to him for park and recreation. He now partitioned the land and sold to people, including the former chief of naval staff. And that is why I want to say here that the former chief of naval staff was scammed. He was scammed.
Now, there's a lot of altercation, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of who was correct. It was the military officer operating his lawful zone or unlawful zone. Should Wike have shouted? And all of that is all around the internet, is everywhere, which is, again, I do not have documents, I don't have facts to prove. But I need you to pay attention to something I'm going to draw to your attention very carefully, especially if you're a real estate investor, because that's where my own concern primarily lies. You see, one of the things that you notice in the video, Wike having a serious, heated conversation, and he makes a statement. He says, where's the documents?
Show me the document you have. You have no document. Bring the document.
Now, if you notice, you see the officer replied that he could show him document. They have documents, something like that.
Because the papers are complete and he
Well,
said submitted
are you
them.
the one?
Which is one point. But when you pay attention to what the AD said, again, I'm very clear, I cannot substantiate this fact, whether or not what the AD is saying is true or not. But he says something that most investors don't pay enough attention to. Now, follow the train of thought. He said there was a particular company and they were giving that land, to use for recreation and parks. Note this: ownership and use. And that company, furthermore applied the future to then convert it to residential. I want you to note another thing, because we're going to draw very seriously pay attention to application for change of the use of the land. And they said that there's nobody that gave a consent to that. So it was the military personnel bought it from that guy and then began to use to develop. And that's where the wahala started. Why I'm doing this video is because many real estate people do not pay attention to this important layer of verification. So if you notice, the conversation was not whether or not he owned the land, because the guy who sold it to him rightfully was, again, all of these are hypothetically making assumption that the information that the aide gave us is correct. If it's not correct, you could still learn from this item. Guy says the company sold it to him. So really, if what he said is true, then it means the land is valid. Everything is valid. He owns the land. But the real problem is what the land is being used for is not what, in quotes, they permitted them to use it for. Which is why you see many times when we want to help real estate investors invest in real estate, one of the most important questions we ask them is, what do you want to use it for? And there are 3 levels of verification, starter pack verification, that you need to pay attention to. Any one of them will put you in trouble. Number 1 is ownership, which is what most people are concerned about. Who owns it? Am I sure he's the rightful owner? Am I sure it's not an Omonile land? So many people obsess with ownership and they stop their verification there. Once they see that the land is valid and the land was owned by the person and the person has a legal right to transfer title, they just buy the land and boom, that's where they stop. But ownership is just the first layer. The next question you must ask is, you must check that you have what you want to use it for matches what the land was approved to be used for. Now, in different portions of the country, because really, when it comes to different localities, different states, there may be some minor differences in the land laws, right? So some other place it's maybe ages, some places. But see, many times when you want to verify title, your property lawyer comes into the picture. When you want to verify, in Lagos we call it zoning. If you go towards the Ekpe region, they've zoned it, but they've even updated that now, but it's a conversation for another. But if you come to this place, it's your surveyor that you need, because your surveyor would go and pick the coordinates. Then that surveyor would compare with the master plan, because every state usually has its own plan. He will compare with the plan and ensure that your coordinates, for example, if you want to use for residential, does not fall in a place that is for commercial or industrial, because they've marked some place for industrial, they've even marked some place for government amenities, committed acquisition. So when you use your lawyer to verify ownership, you use your surveyor to verify that this area matches my intended use and there's no government obstruction and all of that. So many times when people want to bypass checks, they end up in places like this. And the third layer, which he mentioned, is building approval. You see, if you are building in an area that is not in the correct zone or not in the correct region that the government has marked to build that thing, on normal circumstances, you shouldn't be able to get an approval. Many times, like I said, these are 3 layers of check. People only stop at one and then Wahala shows up and they just get into the ditch. So again, like I said, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't have access to the data, but I'm letting you pick some vital lessons. You must always check your ownership. Go with a surveyor and ensure that the land that you are buying or the property that you are buying does not fall in the region against what is meant to be used for. Let me add one last point for you. Notice he said the company before applied for a change of use, but according to him, there has been no approval. This is very important. You see, when you are buying a land, you must be very careful of processes in progress. That is, things that are happening that have not happened, but they are selling you the land based on an assurance that it will happen. Because if it does not happen, there's going to be a problem. It's just the same way we have excision land and all that. They say is excision in progress or something in progress. So when you have things like that, you want to be very, very careful, because it can be approved and it also may not be approved. And if it doesn't get approved and you have gone ahead to start construction, perhaps without a building approval, what will happen is you may not have the backing of the military. Your house will come down and it will come down. So I just thought to pull out those vital points for you in this video. Do your checks thoroughly when you're purchasing any property. All right. So if you got questions, you want to have conversations with us, our phone lines are scrolling and all the contact points, you can reach us. We can have conversations with you, help you build a very strategic real estate portfolio filled with the right properties, right? So I hope you learned a lot from this video, and I'll see you on the next video. Till then, I remain real to see your plug for the best real estate investment deals. I'll see you on the next one.